Okay.
Are we live?
Yeah.
All right, y'all, just go ahead and roll on. You're going to want to hear what has transpired since January this year. As you can see, I'm just showing some photos of Aquazia Kennedy and family members, friends, baby Skyland. That is Aquazia Kennedy, fatally killed by South Dallas, by the Fair Park on I-30 back in January, about 2:30 in the morning approximately. So we're about to hear from the family right now to give us an update. They were looking for answers. They got what the Dallas sheriff deemed as justice. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So we have the Kennedy family, Miss Attorney Kim T. Cole, Miss Angela Lucky right here in the blue hat, the NAACP hat. She actually reached out to me and said, hey, I would like for you, this is my family, I would like for you to hear their story and see if the Smashers and Smashettes, Smash the Topic, would be willing to hear the story and, help in whatever way possible they can. So Angela, she'll speak here in just a second. So we're going to start with the attorney. Now, this is not the original attorney, and maybe you can expand on that. So don't think that she has or hasn't done anything. She is just getting started, but she would like to just kind of update you guys.
So, as you guys are aware, unfortunately, Aquazia Kennedy was killed in January. And honestly, there really isn't much of an update to give, but for the fact that there are still no answers as to what actually happened on the scene that night. She was killed in a car crash that was caused by a Dallas police officer. And they have no information whatsoever with regard to why or what, if anything, happened to that officer who caused the fatal accident and left the scene. And the family is seeking answers. And so I was recently hired by Mr. Quincy Kennedy just last week. So I am fresh on the case, and I will be seeking answers. Obviously, those of you that know me, I am not just an attorney. I am an activist, and I am all about pursuing justice. And clearly, in this case, justice is not just a lawsuit. Someone must be held accountable for Aquazia's death.
Or someone's
right. We don't know. We don't have the information at this point, and that's what we will be seeking is justice, whatever that looks like. But the individuals who are responsible for her death must be held accountable.
Okay, so earlier you talked about you will be not just an attorney that is now on the camera, and once the camera's off, then you don't really have any answers. So what answers have you gotten since you've been on the case? Have you gotten any answers?
No answers whatsoever yet. I have not received any documents from prior counsel, so I don't know what information they may have. I anticipate that I will retrieve those documents next week. So maybe I'll have a little more insight into, but Mr. Kennedy doesn't have any answers. So obviously, if there were answers to give, they would have conveyed that to him, and he would have conveyed that information to me. And from my understanding, that is why he did change attorneys, is because he still, to date, has no answers, and it doesn't seem to be an interest in pursuing those answers.
So let me ask you, now you mentioned multiple things about leaving the scene, the officer leaving the scene, guys. Did you hear what I just said? The Dallas police officer left the scene. According to other officer account, maybe firsthand account, that he was picked up and taken to the hospital. So he left the scene. He didn't render aid. Let me go back. He didn't render aid, correct? He left the scene, correct? And he was picked up by two other officers who are still unnamed, but have been placed at the scene, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so they are looking for, those answers on why no criminal. So the Dallas Sheriff's Office did the investigation. So the Dallas police turned it over to the sheriff's office. The sheriff says, well, we don't find any wrongdoing. It's tragic. We hate that it happened, but there's no criminal charges that we're going to be pursuing. So that is the outcome of a Dallas police officer. Now, this is 2:30 in the morning, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So they're stalled out, just kind of waiting for help. The flashers are on. There's a witness, which Miss Laveda, sorry, Miss Laveda. We will be speaking to Miss Laveda, guys. She actually saw the vehicle with the flashers and thought to herself, wow, someone's going to hit them. And she just kind of went around, and no sooner than she said that, uh, all she hears like a big noise and just see debris. And so Aquasia and her two brothers were hit at that time. Now, Aquasia was 33 weeks pregnant. Quincy, this is the father of Aquasia. Can you just first tell us how you're doing? Introduce yourself, tell us how you're doing. And
yes, I'm Aquasia's father, Quincy Kennedy, and I really don't know how to explain how I'm doing because I haven't been able to, what you can say, grieve, because this is it's not even just that it's an ongoing case. We haven't got any information about what other people have investigated to say they're not going to pursue charges. We haven't got any answers, period. So that's the whole message that we're trying to set is, why are you not relating the message to us, period? Why are you not contacting us? We do know that you knew my phone number when I didn't give it to you because you text my phone. You had two police officers text my phone from the Dallas Police Department. And there was a supervisor, I believe, who also got my new phone number. I didn't give it to them. And she called my phone twice to tell me that she was punishing those two Dallas police officers for texting my phone. But that's as far as we went.
punishing them.
Yes, she said that they was being punished.
Do you know why?
For texting my phone. I do not know. I mean, maybe they felt like they was giving up some kind of information, but what I can say, that's speculation of why, but I can say this. I can say he killed my daughter. That he was breaking the law last time I've seen him. He hit her from behind. The flashers were on. There's more than 6 cameras out there. They have dash cams, body cams, digital phone data we need. We've requested all of these. We made demands over and over, and it's almost like people are trying to ignore those demands so they can say we waited. But we have not waited. We've been waiting for them to respond. So,
and about him not rendering aid.
He can't bring. First of all,
and the two officers. If two officers picked him up,
that means they knew it was a crash. They did not render aid. They rendered him aid. So this is what we do know from the wreck. We have the witness. She's going to tell you what we have been told. You have an officer or someone come to the behind this car and hit the car and kill my daughter. The witness has to be the one who's doing the job of what policemen are supposed to be doing. She go and render aid. She looks in this vehicle after she ran as much aid she can possible by herself, and the person in this vehicle is gone. You look on the crash report, the name of the crash report of the person who's driving this vehicle is a police officer. You go to the hospital where my son and his mom them seen him in uniform. So those are reasons why we know it's a police officer. But go back to the scene. Now, those two police officers who text my phone on January the 8th, because this happened January the 6th, they indicated themselves along with Dallas Police Department on the scene. So it's speculation that they are the two officers who took the officer who left the scene to the hospital, meaning they also did not render aid. So what are we gonna do? What answers are we gonna come up with? When is somebody gonna finally tell the truth? How long do we have to wait? How long? Like, is your message saying that Aquazia Kennedy life didn't matter, her death didn't matter? What message is being sent out? You know, we are good citizens. Aquazia was good citizens. Demetrius Cosby was a good citizen. They treated him like he was the defendant. They handcuffed him. They took things out of his car that they had to give back to him because he was legal. It's like they were searching for things to make him look like he was illegal.
That's his brother, her brother, that
Yes.
was in the front seat.
And
One of the two brothers.
Aquazia died. Demetrius' brother, Couturius, died. He came back to life. But also, my granddaughter, Skylin Jonay K.R. Kennedy, died. They had to bring her back to life. Today, she is still suffering in and out the hospital. Everything that she goes through comes from this crash. Everything that she suffered from is for her looking out the side of her eye, looking for her mama. She don't have a chance to have a brother or a sister. It was taken from her. She don't have a chance to have her mama tell her she loved her on her first birthday. So in the future, once again, Skylin is going to turn 13, 14, 15 years old, and she's going to wonder, what did we do to help get answers for what happened to her mama, and why come this officer who killed her mama was just ignored by the same people he worked for, the sheriff department. You know, who else is involved? Because there was so many officers at the scene and so many officers at the hospital who had dash cams and body cams, digital phone data. What is your message? Are you saying that she do not matter? What are you hiding? If you are hiding something, we only can speculate.
Speaking of hiding, was there any, because like when we as citizens, everyday citizens, go to the hospital for something, usually they do a drug test. They administer a drug test, like if you have a car accident, things like that. It's almost automatic in the hospital. Can you tell us what hospital he went to and if he took a drug test or any other testing for like alcohol, blood levels?
I know for a fact that he was at the Baylor Scott Hospital of Dallas, Texas. I know for a fact that this same officer, we have looked up his past history. In 2019, he did hit someone else and caused them bodily harm to where the city was sued or he was sued. However it goes, he was held accountable for that.
Wait. So you're saying he was found guilty?
Yes,
in a court of law?
He was either found guilty or pleaded to pay. I'm not going to say.
It was a civil suit.
It was a civil suit.
Yeah, it was not a criminal suit.
But that's
It was a
wrongdoing.
civil.
But he
Absolutely,
admitted to.
he was civilly liable in that suit.
So y'all, so this officer has a history, but the Dallas sheriff, what you're saying is that the Dallas sheriff is
Same
wrong. What you're saying, what I believe you're saying, is that the Dallas Sheriff's Office finding, the investigative finding, is incorrect, that there is wrongdoing and there is criminal activity going on here.
Exactly. He killed her. He hit her from behind. So you automatically guilty. So this repeater, you would think that he would have had to go to some kind of classes before you just let him get back out there and drive. You know, you would think that his insurance would have to be way better. You know, we do know, well, I'm not going to even bring that up, but I'm going to say this. For him to hit and kill my daughter after he's already hit somebody before, you would think that somebody would want to put him out there and say, hey, this is the second time you've done this. We got to tell this family we're sorry publicly. We're going to make a public apology. We haven't got any of that. We haven't got any answers.
You haven't got an apology? I heard you mention earlier the chief of police, so the chief has not reached out?
The chief of police reached out.
Does he know about what's happening?
The chief of police knows about what happened because we turned in some letters to the Attorney of Affairs. making demands and letting it be known who this person was. They looked up the phone numbers to see that we got text. My phone got text by 2 Dallas police officers, and it was verified. And it was told us at that time that they had no business texting my phone, so they knew. And the chief actually ended up with the Turner Ferris letter, and he sent it back to me instead of Turner Ferris, so he knows what's going on. You know, I also got a phone call, like I told you, from the supervisor of the Dallas police officer, which was a lady, and they know what's going on. But the very most interesting thing is, they want to really just see how much we know.
Who is they?
What the Dallas Police Department is what I feel like. I feel like they just want to see what all we know about the law and see as far how much we can come up with. We should not have to be investigating this. That's why we believe the investigation need to be investigated. Investigate the investigation. You know, it's time to get answers now because they got 6 months to catch up with. My granddaughter's 6 months old. They got 6 months of answers to come up with, and then still start doing what they're supposed to do from this point on.
Yeah,
that's my message.
Yeah, and we know it's pretty commonplace. Attorney Kim T. Cole can probably attest to that. I'm sure it's commonplace when it deals with one of their officers and wrongdoing on their end. They move a little bit slower.
Well, if at all. It obviously, this happened 6 months ago. From our understanding, obviously we don't know the inner workings of what happened within DPD, whether he was reprimanded, if anything happened. But I'll share something with you. I had a car wreck before I went to law school. I had a car wreck. I was injured, and I had on some little flimsy ballerina slippers. I was cleaning my house and was just running to get some bleach. And so I didn't put real shoes on. And so I left to go get real shoes because my windshield had shattered and my arm was cut and I had glass in my eye. And I told the individual, now they hit me, but I was the one who was injured. I said, look, I'm running upstairs to my apartment. I'll be right back. I went to get shoes and get my insurance card so that I could go to the hospital. Well, and I was arrested for leaving the scene where I was the person injured. So him leaving the scene where he caused a fatal accident, everywhere else it's a crime. And I would believe that as an officer, even if he did not cause the accident and he just happened to come upon it, I would believe that he would have some type of duty to render some sort of aid or to call for some help. And I'm not certain if that happened either. So there are way too many unanswered questions 6 months later. Something isn't right. I don't believe this has followed the standard protocol for a car wreck. Had he been Joe Blow, private citizen, he would likely have been arrested versus transported to the hospitals by his homies.
Yeah, hey y'all, and sometimes people think they, are able to do things when maybe not a lot of people know in the news and things. But smash the topic, the smashers and smashettes, they know exactly what to do, right, to make sure that the light is spread on what's happening, guys. You guys hear what is happening with this family. Did you want to say something? And just tell the people who you are.
I'm Angela Lucky. I'm president for Grand Prairie NAACP. And what I want the community to understand is that Aquazia Kennedy life was taken on January the 6th, 2024. We're at the end of July going into August, and the family have not received any type of information from Dallas Police Department involving the death of his daughter, of her niece, and involving the fatal crash on January the 8th. It still concerns me that you had the critical incident team. They came to the the incident, they beat the Dallas Fire Rescue there. So the people that usually respond to the critical incidents, they beat the fire rescue. So on January the 8th, you have a Dallas police officer, Officer Justin Graham. He sends the father a text message. And he sends the father a text message and say that him and Sergeant Christopher were the first two officers that was there on the scene before Dallas Fire Rescue. And when you look at the crash report, we know that the other person that caused the fatal crash, Dallas police officers took him to the hospital. And how is it, ironically, that the officers that are the ones regularly that responds to critical incidents beat paramedics? They beat paramedics there, and they decided to transport this other person who we believe that was a Dallas police officer.
Now, when you said
well.
there, you used the word there, transporting from there. So where is there? Where did they pick him up from?
On the crash report, it just states that Unit 1, which the person causing the crash, was transported by Dallas PD.
Which is official. That's official word.
Right, was transported by Dallas PD. And then when you look at the text message that was sent by Dallas police officer Justin Graham on January the 8th at 1:34 p.m., he starts off texting the father saying, "Good afternoon, Mr. Kennedy. My name is Justin Graham, and I work for Dallas Police Department. Me and my sergeant, Christopher Todd, were the two of the first officers on the scene of the accident." And goes on to say, "We rendered CPR to your daughter at the scene before Dallas Fire Rescue arrived." So we all need to be concerned with that, because if you had two police officers that respond to critical incidents, you left a young lady that was fighting for her life, that was 8 months pregnant, to take somebody that was able to walk away from their car to the hospital, and nobody wants to give the family any answers. That's injustice.
And did they really render aid? Because Ms. Leveda said she didn't see it, that you rendered aid, right? So let me ask you a question. Okay, so introduce yourself real quick.
My name is Leveda Hunter, and I was a witness of the scene.
Okay, Ms. Leveda. Okay, so I know when you pulled over, you went a little further down the exit so that your car could be secured. You ran back on the highway.
Correct.
When you got to the scene, you went to Aquazia's car first. The other vehicle was turned over on its side, correct?
It was over on the passenger side, yes.
Okay, it was over on the passenger side. So once you got to Aquazia's car, so you saw that there was only one person conscious. You render aid for about 7 minutes, you mentioned earlier, correct?
I checked on them. I checked for pulses. I didn't, provide any CPR. It didn't even look like Aquazia was accessible, because the force of the impact caused the trunk and all the contents of the trunk to be in the back seat with her. So I could not see her from waist down. The passenger, I knew he was breathing and his pulse was active. I didn't feel anything on Aquazia. I checked. I held her hand for a few moments, not long, but I also was talking to Demetrius because he was panicking. He'd just been through a traumatic event, and I was like, "Is there anyone you want me to call?" Because there were other people who stopped, and they said that they had already called 911. Regular individuals. I walked over to the car that actually hit them. It was on its side. The driver door was not open. The only thing that was open was the sunroof. So I looked in the sunroof. There was nobody in that car. There was nobody standing outside saying, "Hey, this car belongs to me. I'm okay." Any of that. So I don't know where they were.
Was there any glass, like where the sunroof was open?
It was already open. It didn't look like it had been kicked out or anything, but there was, glass because the cars were severely damaged, but it didn't look like it was, so it looked like it was already open from previous to the accident, right?
And this is about 2:30 a.m., correct?
2:30, approximately. Correct.
And you saw the hazard lights?
I saw the hazard lights. I was driving home from work, and I actually saw the hazard lights from far off. which was the reason why I decided not to change the lane because I was in the far left lane. But as soon as I passed them, I heard and I felt the impact. Like it sounded like a bomb had went off. And when I looked in the rearview mirror, I said, man, somebody hit that car. And sure enough, someone had hit that car. And that's when I decided, I said, well, let me pull over because I would want someone to pull over for me. It's, 2:30 in the morning. It was cold. It was late. And so I decided to pull over. But yes.
Okay, Ms. Leveda, speaking of it was late and it was cold, there's other elements. Are you sure that you didn't see that officer go over to their car and render aid while maybe you walked away or
I'm
went
100%
back?
positive nobody came over there to that car to render any aid, any CPR. The first people that were on the scene was the Dallas Fire Department, and those were the first people to pull Aquazia out of the car, and they immediately started working on her right there on the highway.
But why has it been being said that 2 officers rendered aid before Dallas Fire?
I really find the text message alarming that you will have a police officer. Number one, remember the father was not living in Dallas. The father was living in a different state. How would a police officer get the father's cell number to be able to text the father 2 days later and say, I was the one and my sergeant, we responded first on the scene before fire rescue and we rendered CPR. If they had a rendered CPR, the witness would have saw it and they would have been the one to take her to the hospital. Why did they take the officer to the hospital and leave Aquazia there that was fighting for her life
With the baby.
being 8 months pregnant? That right there feels like there's something more to this. But what's alarming is that Chief Garcia, the Dallas police chief, have not responded to the family. I reached out and got a response on January 22nd from Catherine Cooler, who is the director of the City of Dallas Communication Outreach Marketing. And she responded back to me, back to Grand Prairie NAACP, and said that she forwarded the concerns of the family involving the crash of Aquazia Kennedy, that she was killed by Dallas police officer, to the city manager, the Office of Community Police Oversight, and to Dallas Police Department Public Information Officers. Those are 3 different entities, and nobody have responded to their lawyers or nobody have responded to the family. And this is the end of July, and this text message that Officer Justin Graham, who sent this to the father, this needs to be investigated. It's almost like they're texting 2 days later to cover up something.
Speaking of, about the lawyer, let's go back to the lawyer real quick. It's like she said, as Angela said, it's July. So what are you for sure about that you know about this case? What are you for sure about?
What am I for sure about? Well, I had to speak on facts. I'm for sure about it. I just need answers. I'm for sure that I'm still curious of why a second time defendant, police officer, government official who has hit somebody in the past, who should have learned courses before he just got back and was able out there to drive, who should have been retrained, but also the Dallas Police Department, whoever else is supposed to be giving him sobriety, they're supposed to really be like, okay, this is the second time you don't hit somebody. So we really got to give you a sobriety. And if you took one, can we see it? We need answers for all of this.
Especially that, because I'm telling you, if you go to the hospital and nothing is done for a major car crash that the police now know that is fatal, someone died, and you take not one test, that's liability in the hospital as well. I would
that's
think.
what I told the hospital. I had a hard time with them too. That's going to be another interview. Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. Do you want to say anything? Go ahead.
And I just wanted to just share this with the community. The same officer name that was listed on the crash report, under the Public of Information Act, that person was actually taken to court, and under the Texas tort claim, there was a lawsuit that was found. And right here, the person that's in this particular lawsuit that was being sued, the attorney state out that, and I'm going to be able to read this because this is actually a case that went and it was heard. But in this particular case, Alban Carafila, it says that failed to keep such proper lookout and attention to the roadway as a person or ordinary prudence would have kept under the same or similar circumstances. And then it says number 2, Alban Carafila failed to yield the right-of-way, turning left. Number 3, Alban Carafila failed to keep an assured safe distance from plaintiff's vehicle. And then number 4, Alban Carafila failed to timely apply the brakes of his commercial vehicle in order to avoid the collision in question. So this is the same individual that was actually operating a police car, a commercial vehicle police car, that he crashed into a civilian car. And there was some type of recourse provided to the plaintiff. And in this case, the plaintiff was suing for the injuries, but the plaintiff was not killed. So how do you, and this case was in 2019.
And he was a police officer in 2019?
Yes, it says he was operating the commercial vehicle Dallas police car.
Wow, so he had that accident in the actual.
So in 2019, you have an officer operating one of their cars, causing injury. And then in 2024, early 2024, January 6th, some of the same things that he had done, being aware, not driving too close, or the only way that somebody can really crash into somebody, that means you're close up or you're speeding to where you was either texting and driving, something happened that,
under the influence.
Yes, something happened to make it where that officer could not avoid the stalled car. And so this should not, the Dallas Police Department needs to take responsibility, and they need to provide the family some answers.
Okay, so I have 3 minutes. One second, let me just, and then I'm coming to you. You can send us off.
I just wanted to follow up on what Angela said.
Okay, just hold that thought. So, Ms. Leveda, you are the witness. You were there. You had already just passed them, the stalled vehicle that carried Ms. Aquazia. Okay, so are you willing to go to court? Are you willing to testify against someone that is a Dallas police officer and others that may in the hospital, like where you have wrongdoing? Are you willing to go to court to tell the people in trial what you know?
Absolutely. Again, if he was anywhere on the scene, which I don't believe he was more that he had to render aid. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't render aid. And then I'm not sure why, they're saying these 2 police officers performed CPR. The Dallas Fire Department were the first ones to make it to the scene. And you would think it would be impossible to pull Aquazia out of that car, but the Dallas Fire Department pulled Aquazia out of that car because the impact had the entire trunk and the contents in the back seat with her. That was the first time when the fire department pulled her out that anyone even realized Aquazia was pregnant, because you could not see her from waist down because everything was in the back seat with her. Wow. And the crowd was shocked. No police officer was there yet.
So how many people were on the scene immediately after? How long did it take?
It didn't take long for the fire department to get there. I would say, probably I was there for about 5 or 6 minutes, maybe 7 by myself, and then the fire department made it through the
And
traffic.
then the people?
Probably maybe 4.
Okay.
I can remember
so before the firefighters came, people were already.
You had to get all the way in. Only one left lane was able to get through, because once the impact happened, it sent debris like across all the lanes and everywhere. And then you had the vehicle that hit them that was turned over. So only one lane was able to get through. So people were all getting over into that lane. But the flashers were on. You could see the flashers from far off, because I seen them from far off. There's 2 bridges before you get to that little intersection. Wow. And I could see the flashers before I even got to the bridges. Wow. The Malcolm X bridge, and I think this was Chavez Bridge. You could see those bridges way before you even got there and you could see the flashes because it was so dark. They were just like flashing. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to get over because that car is going to, slow me down. But just as soon as I passed it is when I heard this explosion, and I looked back and I knew someone had hit them, and sure enough, they did. And I don't know where that person was. I didn't find out for maybe a day or two after that an off-duty police officer, perhaps he was coming from the club because that's a big club scene. So maybe he was coming from the club. Maybe he was drinking. He definitely had to be distracted doing something other than driving, not to see those flashes because you could see them from far, far, far off.
Okay, awesome.
To follow up on her point, from my understanding, I read that no charges were filed. I believe they indicated that the car did not have flashers on.
Wow.
So he was not. So obviously some false statements have been made. And I want to make a correction. I don't know what happened in the previous civil action against him because it's not online anymore. I don't know if you know that.
Wow.
I haven't been able to find it. So in any regards, I don't know whether he was held civilly liable in that one either. However, one thing I want to emphasize is this goes farther beyond just someone being dishonest about what happened, because in their dishonesty about the accident, it is prohibiting the family from obtaining justice. They applied for the Crime Victims Relief Fund. Well, the sheriff's office says there was no crime, which means that now they have to come out of pocket for Aquazia's final expenses. They're not eligible for compensation at all. And that is because someone clearly made a false statement to the sheriff's office that the flashers wasn't on. The witness can attest that the flashers were on. She saw the flashers, and obviously if someone had been paying attention, they would have seen them and avoided the accident.
Other people saw the flashes.
Right, and other people saw the flashes. And also, I believe I read that the officer did not apply any brakes. So you ran into this car full speed. So obviously you were not paying attention. I don't know if you were asleep. I don't know if you were texting. I don't know what you were doing, but you were not paying attention. And they may deem that a quote unquote accident, or it may be deemed a crime. But regardless, this family is being denied compensation that they are due, because even if he was distracted or asleep or whatever the case may have been, he left the scene. That is definitely a crime.
And he didn't render aid.
And he did not render aid. That is a crime. And so there are a lot of unanswered questions, and people need to be held accountable because, like I said, this is prohibiting this family from moving forward, and things will never be the same for them. But also it's denying them the compensation that they are due just from the state for being a victim of a crime. His daughter was killed. She was killed. That's a homicide.
By a police officer.
All day. That's a homicide. All day. She did not die of natural causes. She did not kill herself. That is by definition a homicide.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to get out of here. We're gonna have to go. But do you have anything you want to say real quick about?
Yeah, so I'm Devada Kennedy. I'm Aquazia's and Aquazia was like my daughter, and I can tell you this. Aquazia was looking forward to having a baby. She had just gotten here December the 29th. Her father took her to the airport. She gave me the peace sign. She was so excited about coming to Texas. That was December the 29th. Her birthday was January the 1st. She had just turned 19. That Friday, she'd been texting me all day looking for places to live, looking at apartments. She was actually approved for that apartment.
At 10:27.
At 10:27.
The same day she was killed.
The same day that she was killed. Aquazia was looking to be, a citizen here in Texas, and she was looking to spend her life with her baby, Skylar Janae Kayla Kennedy, and she won't get to do that. And our family, we feel this every single day. We see her, we feel her every single day, and we miss her so much, and we don't want to be in this spot. We don't want to be sitting here talking to smash the topic about this. We would rather Aquazia, we would rather be visiting her in Texas, coming from Tennessee, and visiting her to see her baby. But instead, this is what we're doing.
It's
And
like,
we just want justice.
it's like now, instead of her being able to be here to hold her baby, one day her baby gonna be old enough to hold her in this jar right here. You know, her daughter gonna be holding her, and you know it's sad because we can't grieve. We have to be powerful. So you know, people might say, well, they don't look sad. We can't go and be weak right now. We ain't no time to be weak. You know, we trying to figure out everything, and as if we're the investigators, because that's what we've been left to do, and that's a shame. I am ashamed of the investigation of what's been going on, who's been involved, who have been doing their job. Because yes, you are the law. You are supposed to do and abide by the law. You do not supposed to ignore a family who has lost somebody in a tragic accident and labeled as a major tragic accident and then ignore us. What I don't want to speculate, but it seems as if this is a sabotage. I'm just saying.
I want to say this also.
And we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay, the official that have reached out to this family has been Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. She sent a letter to the family. None of the local Dallas city officials have responded to the family, contacted the family, not even none of the state representatives here in Dallas. And that is alarming also. We elect these individuals in office, and when something like this happens, when families call the local elected officials' office or the state representatives, they're not responding. But our Congresswoman Crockett did respond. So I think Attorney Cole have something to say.
Just one more thing. Like I said, the family did not receive any compensation from the Crime Victims Compensation Fund due to the fact that this was not deemed a crime based upon clearly erroneous information. Ask the community to the GoFundMe is still up because of his daughter. He's still owed funeral. And also, I would like for you guys to stand with us if we have to protest to bring justice about. If we have to show up at DPD and ask for answers, I would like for you guys to stand with us and stand with this family to bring justice to them and to bring justice for Aquazia Kennedy.
All right, Smashers and Smashettes, y'all know what to do. Y'all heard that. Y'all know exactly what to do. So be on the lookout for any updates. They will put it in the comments if there is an upcoming protest at Dallas Police Department. There hasn't been one in a while for Black Lives. All right, so thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you to the Kennedy family for allowing us into your home, and we look forward to covering the justice that you seek. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.